Oh, hello everyone. How are you? This week started to cool off just enough, right? And I was like, okay, I made it through the summer. Didn't end up in the hospital. This is awesome. This is awesome. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And we started losing like almost an hour of daylight. So I was like, okay, fall is coming. I got this. Well, then, of course, it turns to be 91 today. And I'm like, no, I don't want it. But anyway, look what I got from the Dollar Tree. Is that not the cutest? I'll put a light on it so you can see it. It's just this little box. And, Dollar Tree is not a dollar anymore. Like, everything is $1.25. And this particular thing, just this box is so cool. And it has this little light in it that changes colors. And see the phases of the moon? It says, it's just a phase. I mean, honestly, isn't that hilarious? It's just a phase. Like, oh, I love this thing. Look at it for $3. $3. They have the cutest stuff at the Dollar Tree. I've never been able to be such a great decorator as I have, thanks to the Dollar Tree. And then I had to get my Starbucks holiday tumblers, and they make them glow in the dark. And I was like, well, I need to test this because I'm like, what the? Because why do they make them so they're glow in the dark? I mean, yeah, because it's the season, right? But it's like, okay, if you're drinking coffee, do you often drink it in the dark? Like, what if it really didn't glow? You really wouldn't know, right? So, yeah, so I got my spooky new tumbler there. And my It's Just a Phase little, like, fortune teller box. It's just so freaking cool. And it's just one of those little lights with a switch, and it's changing these colors. I mean, it may be the best $3 I've ever spent in my life. And then they have these signs, like you put out your front door that are like 3 feet tall and say welcome. So they had all of those, and they had, spooky, haunted, the witches in, welcome, Halloween themed and fall themed. And I'm like, oh my God, $1.25. I'm gonna get my neighbor some of these too because I think this one would match this person's house and this too. Well, I loaded it all up, and then I see this thing on the back of it, and it's like this $5 thing, and I'm like, does it come with $5 of coupons or what? And I'm like, oh, they're $5 because I am really having a hard time believing that the Dollar Tree is not a dollar. It's not sinking in. So I only got a few of those. But honestly, this is so cute, and I got a lot of little cute things to decorate my office. I kind of like witchy things. I think that very much, in a different time period, I would have been seen as a witch, just because I am a person who really likes the earth and kind of believes in um, all living creatures. Have their own little thing that they do in a day. And other than spiders, fuck spiders. Fuck spiders because they can take over the world. They absolutely could. They would not have any problem. They could eat us and take over. And mosquitoes. I guess spiders eat mosquitoes. But I can't stand them. I'm sorry. I understand that some people really like them, but I can't stand them. And where I came from, um, we lived by a lake, and there was those big fucking orb weavers. Have you ever seen them? And they will take over your front door. I mean, these fuckers don't pay rent, and they're the size of a human at times. I mean, I'm not kidding you. These orb weavers, the freakiest things ever. I don't know. I don't like them. I don't like them at all. But that's why, and I want to make it clear that I only troll this one beast of a woman. And I only troll her because she is dangerous to other people in the ways that she tries to get all YouTube famous and get certain things with YouTube to get views. And with the views, then she cons money out of them. She cons opioids out of them. And I guess I troll for Jesus too. That's kind of what my other channel says, because she wants Jesus to come back so she can kill him again. Who says that? Who says that? Nobody says that. Who shoves 999 mealworms down a bearded dragon's throat when you're told repeatedly from the pet store, do not give this animal, bearded dragon, any mealworms ever? Who does that? Who decides to make the world fall in love with their dogs and then abuse the dogs while you're drunk on YouTube in front of others? She body slammed this one little dog, and so many people saw it, they were sending it, to animal services. Well, she went and put that dog down. She'd been saying for a long time the dog was deaf and blind, and she wasn't. But the 58-year-old wanted a new puppy for her birthday, and she knew she could only really get away with 2 dogs. So she was all eyeballing up what kind of dogs were getting the best views on YouTube and saying she was in love with them and all this stuff. And we were calling it. We're like, my God, she's going to get herself a puppy for her birthday. And she was laying the groundwork that she was going to, that her dog Bella was going to die. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with her. And all these people are offering to take this dog. And there are many places that take, deaf and blind dogs, just as they do cats. So all these people were offering, but nope, if she can't have something, she doesn't want anybody else to have them. So for YouTube views, she wanted a new puppy. And so she put down that dog. Didn't even stay with the dog. Did not even stay with that dog. She had it for like 14 years. And she said she couldn't bear to be with her when she was put down. So she just put her in the car, drove her up, paid $50 to have her euthanized, and that's that. And so that's the kind of stuff. Because I got an email from somebody and was like, oh, so you troll, are you a scumbag attacker too? And I'm like, okay, no. I needed to make it very clear. I would not troll to troll, and I don't even understand who hates who in the zoo, because half the time these people that say they hate this person or whatever, then that person's on their panel the next week and they're listening to them, but they've called them this and that before, or they've called this person a druggie before, and then they're on that person's panel, like their friends and everything. Call me a druggie, you're not going to be on my fucking panel. I mean, I don't get it. I do not get it. I normally don't get involved in this shit. That's just not the way I am. I have a problem with somebody, I'm going to get to the bottom of it, or they don't exist. It's just that simple. I don't have time to concern myself with idiots, So no, I'm not a scumbag attacker. I did not troll on anything other than, and why, if I was a scumbag attacker troll, why would I be explaining the very first time I'm on that, oh, my username is this because I troll this one woman. The one woman, she loves the sub channels that are about her. It's all about attention to her. She's a huge narcissist, literally and figuratively. And so the narcissistic traits of her, I really see in SW, and that's where it transfers over. I mean, narcissists are fascinating. I mean, if they weren't fundamentally destructive, it's just fascinating to watch what they do, and when you learn the patterns, you can see them. And before I get babbling too much, I better say this is a disclaimer. My channel is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a therapist at all. I believe in talking because I see a lot of situations right now that provide a teaching opportunity. I'm not mom shaming. I am advocating for children that no longer have a voice. And I also am addressing potentially abusive and hurtful behavior to prevent future abuse. And as I do talk about a person with the initials SW quite a bit, she made herself a public figure with putting herself out there to the public, marking things to the public. So she is, by all accounts, a public figure. And that is why I am doing my best to educate, because I do fear that there are people out there that are quite literally trying to be like her. They say she's a mentor. They want to be just like her. It's very dangerous. Okay? With that being said, there are truth warriors on this channel. So the TWs are fine. The TWATTS are not. I don't know if we're going to get this glowing there. Ooh, we'll do twats over. No. I didn't cover that part. Okay, we'll do it like this. Do it over there. No twats. the different colors. Let's do that. No twats. Okay. Definitely truth warriors, TWs, but no TWATS. Okay. On Watts Island. Okay. What's going on Watts Island here? So I don't think there's been too many new developments. I know that people are saying something about the discovery of a shirt or something. I don't know. I think that things get recycled because somebody said, didn't AD talk about that shirt on the bench 3 years ago and whatever, and I've never watched anything of AD, so I don't know. I just kind of watch the chats and stuff, and I get things emailed to me, and I'm going, I don't know this or that. But one of the things that I think is interesting is if there was a shirt, what shirt? I don't get it. Because okay, they would be saying that the shirt is one that she was wearing on the camera on the front door when she came in, right? With NA. Well, there's part of the line of thinking that says that footage isn't accurate, that footage is not from that night. Okay, so you've got that going there. So that's a problem with the shirt, whatever that armchair detective did 3 years ago that's now coming back up. Questions about the shirt somewhere, I don't know. I've not seen it. So then the other thing is that I don't think she'd be wearing the same shirt that because either way, when she was standing there with NA, I think they had both gotten off the airplane or whatever. That's why I don't know how that footage is not accurate. But anyway, SW always said that when she came home from the airport, she wanted to take a shower right away to get the airport funk off of her. We all know that. I mean, honestly, like, you know how you feel when you get off of a flight? You just feel yucky, right? Oh my God, except for the one time when I was flying back from Thailand and a bunch of people from, oh my God, a country that don't wear deodorant, okay? That I don't want to get in trouble here. I don't want to say, okay, but there's just a bunch of people that they just don't wear deodorant a lot. They really like their man odors. And so there was this horrible, like, really musky man odor, pit odor on the plane. And it was, coming back from, I was flying back from Thailand. And supposed to be a long ass flight. So what was I to do other than go into my purse and get my little tiny thing of Bath and Body Works lotion, Sweet Pea? Because, you could have lotion and stuff before 9/11. And so I'm sitting there huffing my Bath and Body Works lotion, looking over at all the people who stink so bad with the glare. I'm huffing I'm actually making these actions right now. Yeah, I know you can't see me. But I'm sitting there huffing my Sweet Pea. Well, all of a sudden we hit turbulence. And my lotion flew out of my hand and it was sprayed all over. I mean, so it's like, a lotion would go like in a thing, so if you're holding it and you're huffing it, and then turbulence, so that thing of lotion just went boom, and then hit the ground and just like splattered all over everybody and everything, and it smelled wonderful. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in so much trouble. The stewardess is, when there's more than one stewardess, is it a steward eye? Or do you say stewardesses? Stewardesses. The stewardesses loved me because they were like, God, it smells so good over here now. And I was like, I am so sorry. You want to give me some paper towels? And I'll start, and they're like, just let it be. And I'm like, I agree. Because here we are, in this freaking tin can in the sky. It reeks of body odor and ugh. So anyway, I understand airport funk. I really do. So now, and that would add up because we all know that when she showered, that was the key, and he knew that meant that he needed to fuck her. So if she got off the plane and it came home, she would have taken a shower to get the airplane funk off. And he said in his second confession that they had been intimate and then he unalived her. Okay? So that would make sense. I mean, she took a shower, so of course they fucked. I mean, we all have seen the texts. Like I say, it's so weird. Like, I don't tell my friends if I'm horny. Weird. What's my friend gonna do about it? Come and rub me off? I mean, honestly, what would you, I mean, whose business is it of anybody's if you're horny? I mean, it's just bizarre to me that she was like saying this to her MLM friends, like, I'm so horny. Like, the fuck? Like, I, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's more going on in that MLM girls weekend than we know, and maybe a lot of freaking scissoring, because it wasn't like the person on the other end of the text message was like shocked or anything. It was just like, well, do this. I mean, it must have been common knowledge. I mean, so what do they do? Like, I didn't sell enough this month. I'm horny. Oh, hold on, I'll be right over. There's an opening at the Y. Wink, wink. Like, what the fuck? Why would you tell anybody? I don't get it. I don't get it. But anyway, and you look at those texts and you're like, okay, you're sitting there bitching about being horny, and you've got CW, who has been lifting weights, and he's got the double stickers and everything, so he's obviously got stamina and everything. He's got one that he can crank up. So why wouldn't she be over there talking to him about being horny? And why wouldn't she be actually talking to him instead of her friend and texting her friend? I don't understand why you wouldn't talk to your spouse about that. Why was he over across the room and she's wildly texting, I'm horny, and he's not doing this. Well, why didn't you do? No, he knows I took a shower. That means that we need to have sex. Like, well, fuck. Like I say, I didn't know that. I mean, I guess I've missed out on a lot of fucks. I mean, I guess, what? I just thought that people just bathed to bathe. I didn't know they were all getting ready to go fuck. I mean, I had no idea. So anyway, and so she's like, he won't come over and fuck me, and I'm so horny. This is ridiculous. He didn't even grab my ass. Wee, wee. Well, you want to know why she wasn't telling him? I'm going to introduce this now. Okay? Here you are. In class, folks. I'm going to tell you about this term that narcissists use. It's their favorite tool. It's one that they thrive on. God, why does that? It's just like it's like Freudian slip. Freud always has to be buttoning it, doesn't he? Anyway. Okay, so, it's a triangle. Like, literally, like, do a triangle. And so a triangle has 2 against 1. You see? So, like, make the little triangle in your hand. Okay? So what triangulation is by definition, you can Google, and it's going to give you this really simple concept. Oh, hold on. I got to move my... Whoa. Get my back scratcher. Do you guys have back scratchers everywhere where you sit? I do. Let me show you. My back scratcher. My wooden thing. One of them says Norwegian Home Spa on it. I keep one in each vehicle so I can grab it at my desk. I don't know why, but I just always need to itch my back. I don't know I don't know. Okay, so anyway, now my back is itched, so we can move forward. Okay, so the very basic definition you can find on Google is going to come up like this. And it's going to say narcissistic triangulation. It is emotional abuse, and it happens in a toxic relationship. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, trust me, it's toxic. And it's done to create conflict. It is to manipulate and take advantage of the victim. Okay? So, my grandma, not the nice grandma from my dad's side, my mom's mom, she is a narcissist through and through. And she just, the whole family, just is all torn up because of her bullshit triangulation. It's just always, talking about one person to another and just nonstop, going on since the 40s. But when nobody would even listen to her shit, then that's when she would bring religion into it. She'd be like, well, Jesus would say this about you, and Jesus would say, and I was like, you talk to him? Or, and it's that. They'll use religion when there's nobody else. It used to be like, well, Aunt so-and-so says this, and Aunt, blah, 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 so 2 and 1. So, I grew up with it and I can really see when people do it. And because I grew up with such extreme abuse of every form, I, went on a quest to figure out why, that's why I'm almost finished with I'm almost finished with my master's in forensic psychology. I'm a little further than I thought that I was. I'm set back to start in school so I can finish that up. Um, I went to take, a semester off, and it ended up being more, but when I went and had everything redone and recalculated and stuff, I don't have that much further. So I have my bachelor's in psychology and a minor in criminal justice, almost enough to have two bachelor's degrees because I had to transfer back and forth colleges when I was moving and when I was sick, blah, blah, blah. So I'm horribly overeducated, and still nothing could make sense of the way that I was treated growing up. But one of the ways that I can really look back and just say, okay, I get it, is this triangulation. And I just see this so badly with the shenanigans, because in the beginning, she was living large. She had Christopher with her against his parents. Okay? Not so much with the dad, because she knew that she couldn't, because his dad was everything, right? She knew that there was a weak spot with the mom. She knew that she could get Christopher on her side. And the two of them would be against the mom. Okay? So then they weren't even at the wedding. She knew that she could do that. She knew in the beginning that it was the two of them against the world. And there's very, very strategic energies in why narcissists do that. Because she would have been threatened by CW still having a relationship with his mom and dad, because abusers, narcissists especially, isolate their victims. Okay? Now, they can't just walk in and say, hey, I don't want you ever to talk to anybody else again. I'm going to isolate you. You're all mine. Don't talk to anybody ever again. Who would buy off on that? So no, it's this very slow and gradual emotional abuse. It's just this thing that's just always going, always going. And when Christopher started saying that he even felt the girls were going against him, because then she would get the girls to go pick on daddy, because she was obviously threatened, because they liked him more. He was the one that was sitting down playing the games with them. He was the one who was bringing them snacks in the middle of the night when they were locked up, Flowers of the Attic style. Okay? So she was threatened by them wanting him more. So she started the little stuff. Now she had her own mom. She'd go talk to her own mom against her husband. Her own dad against her husband. Right? But what if he dared to talk to his mother about her? Oh no, that's scorched earth. No, no, no. She wouldn't have that. And when the mainstream media was making its millions on this false story that this perfect family is just like this, and this man just one day snapped, decided he wanted his mistress. She went to go visit her parents. She's pregnant. He did that. He decided to replace her. Mainstream media made a ton of this because they had all these pictures they could grab. She had everything open to public. So, when a story comes out, you have your journalists and whatnot, and then they start researching it, and they were just probably nabbing these photos. Boom, 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 boom. Just like Casey and Kaylee Anthony. Same thing. They were able to get all these pictures, and those pictures tell the story, right? There have been how many other children, sadly, that have past and not gotten the attention that Kaylee got? Casey? Why? Because there was pictures. They could sell the story with the pictures that they got. So then they get this and they see this beautiful family. And it's unthinkable that this picture perfect family could do this. And so when we're looking back now, 4 years later, and we're seeing that things were said in interviews, but none of us were listening. And probably a lot of it got edited out. I mean, there's little things here, where we can catch where they're talking about how they were separated. They were separating. Okay? His dad was not surprised when he was talking about them separating. It wasn't like he was like, what? You guys can't separate? What? No, it was well known. Okay? So now you see and you know. This was an undercurrent. And Christopher had been talking to his parents about her to them, okay? So the way he's doing it is not pathological. Well, the way that we were all told that he's the actual narcissist and whatever, then yeah. Then you could say, oh yeah, well he was doing that. No. People do that because they want to feel somebody on their side. That happens. That's only natural. But when a narcissist does it, they'll grab onto anybody. Because I can't imagine these being her friend. It would be this full-time freaking job. I mean, just non-stop, her needs. She's hungry, she's horny, she's constipated, she doesn't feel good, she's got a headache, Chris isn't doing this, Chris isn't doing that. What are her friends doing when they're listening to all this shit? They have a family to tend to, too. And that's why she went through friends like freaking people go through cigarettes. And none of these friends were long-term. You don't see anybody coming up and saying, you know what, yeah, we were really good friends, for 2 years, and we did this and that, and we did this and that. No, you don't. You see the MLM crap, where everybody's all in there fake as fuck, but you don't see anybody really coming forward giving the story like we are now that can see this based on the behavior that's coming up. And in chats, even, I see it where when people have not looked at the videos like Neek's Peaks, and Neek's Peaks has a new one out, so if you guys haven't checked that out, go check out Neek's Peaks. You don't see it, and I saw in a chat, and it was like, everybody who met her loved her. No, they didn't. They dropped her like a hot potato, because how long can you honestly be friends with a person that's that high maintenance? You can't, because you have your own family to tend to. You can't be her other side of the triangle. So she has her husband in the same room when they have the kids being babysat by her parents. They are alone in a room, and they have a lot to talk about because she's been away for weeks. She's pregnant. They're separating. There's all these issues to talk about, okay? And what's she doing? She's sitting there texting. She's texting her friend because she's got to text somebody else to talk about him. Rather than talking to him like a normal, mature adult in a marriage, the other half of a marriage, she's the other 50% of the 100%. What is this person on the other end of the line going to do when it's the two of you in a room and you're horny? Is she going to have phone sex with her friend on the phone? Is she going to start, putting pictures of her freaking vag while they're talking? I mean, what? What? Why would you tell your friend you're horny when you've got a husband right there that you're trying to work things out with? Whose business is that? It's his, not this other person on the line. I don't really know what I'd do if somebody told me that they were horny. I don't know. I don't know how I would respond. Be like, huh. I mean, And then they were like, well, go and do this. Well, no, he's not doing this. And he didn't even grab my ass when I came. Oh, that man. That man put up with a lot. He really did. Like I say, that's why prison is probably a fucking vacation to him. Because it is better than the stress that he was under. And a good lawyer would really argue that. A good lawyer would say that he has battered spouse syndrome, probably Stockholm syndrome, that he was absolutely psychologically, emotionally, and we do know and have confirmed physically abused by this woman. And how much can anybody take before they snap or before they're driven insane? They could have argued an insanity plea. Honestly, we don't know why he's just so much more comfortable in prison, but I think it speaks volumes. So if you're just busy or not, if you're not busy, take a piece of scratch paper and write out these triangles and think about the Watts and think, oh, okay, so she had NA, so NA and SW against CW. She had neighbor Nate with her against CW. She had, how many other people was she texting all this stuff? I don't even know all the people she was texting to about her problems, instead of just sitting down with her husband. And he wanted to go to marital counseling just like her other husband did. And the other husband, and narcissist cannot. A narcissist is not a therapy material. It's a very, very difficult personality disorder to treat because they're chameleons. They're not really going to show what they do to a therapist. And the victim often cannot explain it because they use another thing called crazy making that we'll talk about on a different lesson, folks. But bottom line, she should have went over and talked to him. But then what's she going to do? Tell the truth? Like, I'm sorry, I haven't been making the house payment. And he'd be like, pardon? Yeah, I wasn't making the house payment, and so I started fucking another man, and I did get pregnant, and I went to him, and he doesn't want to leave his wife and stuff, so you have to take me back. I mean, how many lies? And then when she was like, to her friend, she's like, you know what? Fine, I'm not going to even do a gender reveal party because he's not grabbing my ass, he's not putting out, blah, blah, blah. You know what? In fact, I'm going to cancel the 4D ultrasound. Yeah, because think about it, folks. She didn't even know it was a boy. She had not received any prenatal care to that point. She was going to have the 4D ultrasound so she could have a gender reveal party because it's all about image, right? It's not she wasn't nurturing that baby in her belly, just like she didn't nurture her daughters. She was blessed enough to actually become pregnant, which so many women would, I'd say kill for, but that's just not appropriate in this conversation. She pulled all the shit that she couldn't have kids, and I think that maybe that was the operative word. She couldn't, because she didn't want kids. I don't think the kids were ever in her imagery. I think that she wanted to have a lifestyle that was what she shows when she came alive in those pictures of herself on vacation. That's why she became addicted to selling the MLM stuff or just buying the MLM stuff so she could buy the vacations and say that she earned them and whatnot and justify it. Because she couldn't say, hey, I'm not going to make the house payments. We're just going to go to Aruba this time and we're going to go, on a cruise. I mean, if there's not money in the budget for a vacation, there's not money in the budget for a vacation. She found a way to lie. And she had, I was talking to my best friend about this today. She had his parents paying like $150 a month for the silly stickers. And she have his sister paying too? So they're all paying $150 towards, so what, $300? And then she's paying Christopher's minimum. and hers. So the family's like funding some of these, but whereas if they would have just paid for the straight out vacation, it probably would have been cheaper. But she could lie and say that she earned this, and so she has to go. She just wanted that vacation party life. That's it. She was alive. She was exuberant. She was everything in those pictures. And when she was around other people and they're partying, they've got this high energy. You didn't see that. You didn't see that in that Christmas video, and she's calling her child a Grinch. Not at all, did you? One of my friends took her daughter to a petting zoo a couple weeks ago and posted it. And it was cute because her little girl, hears these animals making all this noise, and she's never heard that before, And this lamb is, batting at her, and the little girl's like, no thank you. She's about 2. And so, she's like talking to her little girl. She's like, what's the matter? Are you scared? And she touches her daughter, and her daughter's like, okay, I like it when you touch me. Okay. And then, my friend reached back, to start pushing the stroller again. And her little girl was like, grabs for her mom's hand. And then when her mom, gave her hand and pushes the stroller at the same time, the little girl's like looking at the thing and being like, okay, as long as my mom is holding my hand, I got this. I can check out this weird furry thing making these noises. Okay. But the second mom doesn't have my hand, oh no, I'm going to scream. That's what a mom does. That's nurturing. That's your maternal instinct. She had none. She had no maternal instinct. To sit there and think it was more important to record this Christmas video where she's got all of her makeup on and she's dressed up like a little elf. The big fat ass. I mean, and then, poor Christopher, he's like, oh, Bella, have you been a good girl? And then what? Their present's a frickin' water bottle. They look in it. Is there water in it? All they wanted was actual water. They didn't care about the water bottle. They're like, oh, wow. You're going to give me the gift of not being thirsty for Christmas Eve? What a gift. I mean, what? Why not some Play-Doh? Crayons. I don't know, something. But I mean, just for her to be taking it out on a fetus, to here, she's not gonna, she's just gonna, when she took that picture and she looks like shit and everything, sending it to her friend, like, look at me, I can't eat, I can't poop, I can't do anything. But I thought that those silly stickers fixed everything. Oh, is that why she wasn't posting when she was in? Because she couldn't show everybody that she went there to go and make the other Chris marry her and take responsibility for the baby that could be his because of the leopard dress. Yeah. Instead of, I mean, what fault is it of the baby that's in her belly that she is now not feeding and not nurturing? In fact, it said, we have the proof where she said that she wanted to go ahead and go get an abortion. I mean, because he wasn't behaving. So if he would have been all happy to see her, but she'd been gone for 5 weeks and was by all accounts a separation, then she would have kept the baby. Or if the other Chris would have said, yes, I want to leave my wife and kids and have this baby with you, then the fetus would have gotten fed nutritiously. I mean, it's just very irresponsible. Very irresponsible. And this stuff where she was like, oh, I didn't think I could get pregnant because, I was told I couldn't because of my pretend lupus. And you're going to give that act that you're so thankful that you got pregnant, but then you're not going to nurture that baby and you're not going to get prenatal care and you're going to threaten an abortion. I mean, what did that baby do to her? Huh? Nothing, just like Cece and Bella did. She just really lacked intimacy. She just could not be intimate because intimacy requires truth and disclosure and vulnerability. And those are all things that she didn't have. And she was very outward with her emotions. And he was very inwards. And you have to have that person you have to have a innie and an outie, Because if you have two outies, then, the two of you go kill everybody. So you have to have the innie and the outie. Now, what happened the night that he became an outie? Is that when he snapped? Is that how it happened? Did he snap? I mean, what makes a person snap? I would say that. Oh, somebody emailed me. Could it be true that her body was identified over the phone by her mom by saying beautiful? Was she beautiful? In my experience, I think that was dramatized. I think that I don't know. I think that maybe we don't know, and maybe CW had to go and identify her positively. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely something not connecting because, or do they know because that's where he said that? Because he's the next of kin. I don't think that it's true. But I don't know. I think it's definitely unusual. But there's so many things that are so unusual about this. But like I say, she did not know it was a boy. Think about it. She had no prenatal care, no ultrasound. The ultrasound that she put up was an old one. She says so in those things that because he's not acting right, because he's malfunctioning, she's canceling the 40 ultrasound, which would have revealed the sex because she was 14 weeks then. She couldn't have known the sex otherwise. There's not any mall ultrasound or anything you could get before then. And then the people are like, oh no, because she was high risk. She would have had, you can tell by blood tests, she didn't have prenatal care. So she had no idea if that fetus was a boy or a girl. Now, because they did say that they found the fetus, it was expelled with her body. She still did have the fetus. She still was pregnant. That fetus's DNA would have revealed if it was male or female, right? And the results of that DNA went to Chris, whether that's Chris in North Carolina or that's Chris in Colorado. Chris now in Wisconsin. But we're all female until the testes descend, right? So you can tell. I don't know if a 14-week fetus would even show in the DNA. I think it would, right? Because you can tell by blood tests at 8 weeks. Ah, man, I don't know. So the definition of domestic violence, I thought this was really interesting. The definition of domestic violence is being hit, hurt or pushed, threatened, being forced to have sex, and the isolation of you from your family. Huh. Who's committing the abuse there? If you look at that little list that I just saw on something, she admitted to hitting and kicking him and pushing him out and putting him on the porch until he behaved. She threatens him. She's threatening him all the time. We know that she was forcing sex. He didn't want to do it with her. And we know that she was isolating him for the family. I mean, a good lawyer could have argued battered spouse syndrome. Absolutely. And also, I think that we need to be real careful about that narrative of just this husband snapping and killing the wife and kids, because that speaks to the old sexist idea of the man being the head of the house, and if the woman doesn't behave herself, he'll find somebody else and you'll all be gone. I think that that line of thinking in mainstream media is very dangerous. And I think that a lot of commentators, later on need to look at that and see how that stereotype was really carried for this narrative. Because it didn't make sense to anybody. I mean, of how this beautiful family, that one picture where the sunlight is even just on them, the sun's just shining down on them. She wanted all those pictures because she wanted everything to look perfect. It certainly wasn't. You don't see the headline saying, she did not make the house payments for 5 months or pay the HOA for 5 months. He had no idea. He's going to work every day. He's doing all of the physical hands-on work and caretaking with the children. She's a stay-at-home mom by definition only. She's staying at home and she's a mom. And she's locking him up for 15 hours a day. You don't see that in the headlines. And what would have happened if those were in the headlines? What if the truth was in the headlines? That she was locking children up, going around like a freaking janitor with all these keys on her belt, locking them up for 15 hours a day without toilet privileges, and one of them who she's also purporting is kindergarten age. And spending all of her money on MLMs to buy vacations, and having a vehicle that is one of the vehicles that she could have qualified for, but we don't know that she actually qualified for it because he sold his car for the down payment for that, and that Lexus is in his name. And unless she was putting enough on him in the downline to pay that, so still is like, okay, you give $3,000 and then you get an $800 check back for the vehicle. Does that make sense? How about just pay for the vehicle? What if those headlines were out there that the house payment wasn't made, house was going to go in foreclosure? I mean, that's why she went to North Carolina. She fled to Colorado one time when she was getting, chased out of there for embezzlement. She ran like the wind. And then when she did the same thing and bankrupted them and is going to lose this house, she runs all the way back. What if that truth was out there? What would that have done to that? What would that have done to every single news channel that was lying? They made a fortune on that story, and they knew they could. So greed made this happen. I think it's wonderful that people can now get the truth that they seek by creators on YouTube that have looked into things and can give good commentary. And we're not subjected to having to listen to somebody else lie to us. Now, with that being said, let me tell you this. I gotta interject this. So there I was in the Dollar Tree line, right? And I said to the cashier, I was like, oh my gosh, I bet you have already gotten a bunch of stuff for Halloween, huh? I don't even know how you would work here and make $1 because I would buy everything and it would just come out even. And she was like, I don't believe in Halloween, it's evil. I was like, yeah, I understand that, I mean, people think that, but, you look back to the paganism and whatnot, and she's like, I don't believe in Christmas either, and that's pagan. I was like, yeah, well, you just kind of look at it, and I understand. She goes, It's just like, all the stuff that they teach the kids in school, they teach them this bullshit that the earth is round and everything, and it's not, it's flat. And I'm like, oh shit, I just got flat earthed. Oh my God, she just flat earthed me. I started this thing just trying to talk about how these things are cute, and she is now arguing with me. She's a flat earther. And, I didn't want to, infer anything about the curvature of the actual earth or anything. That's not my style. And, so I was just like, oh, I know. And I said, it's kind of cool that, whatever your beliefs are, you can really find, people who think that way on the internet, right? And I'm looking at this woman behind me in line, and her mouth is just open because she is like, oh shit, you just stepped in a flat earth conversation. I'm like, oh God. Oh my God. But there are flat earthers. There are. And if it is flat, why don't we just fall off of it half the time? Why don't we just go take a walk and they didn't come? Is that what happens? Is that how people are missing? Because they plopped off the end of the earth? God, I don't know. Oh. The bottom line is that when he came out to North Carolina, the spell she had him under was broken. He no longer wanted to try and work on this marriage. He wasn't under her spell anymore. And when we get to that part in the controlling book, you're going to understand it. But I have to get you guys there. So if you don't mind, I'd like to continue reading from our book. And when I was looking at the stack of books and everything, I was like, what, I would like to read most of them to you guys, and we can continue to use examples and stuff. And I mean, honestly, like I say, I'm on the go all the time. I can't ever get 2 minutes to myself. And when I do, and I see a new comment pop up, or I can get a chance, in between something else, and read the comments, I'm telling you, I tell you this every time, I can't believe how nice you guys all are to me. You guys are amazing, and I thank you, and I thank you for your time and coming along in this journey where we are a bunch of like-minded individuals who are thinking out of the box. We didn't buy what mainstream media said. It didn't sit right with us. Our minds couldn't file it, and so here we are, working towards the truth. And it's taking a lot longer to get to the truth, but it's a really good lesson for all of us, and lessons that we need to teach our children, is that it's really quick to tell a lie. It's really quick to sell something to people. It's really quick to sell a headline. Like I say, think about how much money the news stations made on this. Any documentary from any of the channels, Netflix or whatever, anytime they do a twats documentary, it's the highest rated ever that they've ever done, because people have more questions than answers, but they continue to give the same old tired dialogue. They won't touch what we know. And why is that? Why is that they won't tell us the truth? We have the evidence. We have the proof. We have screenshots of her saying she was going to abort. We have people who say they were separated. They were saying they were separated. It's bullshit. And also, my best friend pointed out that in the one text where she said, fine, screw it. When I go back to Colorado, I'm going to sell the house. Because, she's a hot shot. She does everything. She doesn't say, by the time I get back, the sheriff might have foreclosed upon us. But anyway, she's like, that's it. I'm going to put the house up for sale, and that's it. So when they go with that whole thing that, that's how it shows that he's guilty, is because he called up the realtor. No. She was saying she was calling the realtor when she was in North Carolina. And she would have conference calls. So she probably called him, and he was probably calling her back. Because she's the one in North Carolina saying that she was calling the realtor to put the house on the market because she was done. She was not going to do the gender reveal party. She was not going to do the 4D ultrasound. She was going to sell that house. She was going to get a divorce and have the girls. Probably would have had an abortion if the way that things are looking, and she probably would have said miscarriage, she probably would have said, Chris did this and Chris did that. She probably would have said that he abused her or whatever. But I don't think that she would have wanted 3 children as a single mother. Absolutely not. But I do think that she would probably live with her parents, because I think that at the end of the day, I think that God, they all of the grandparents involved were good to those kids. And I think that even her dad, I think he really liked being a grandpa from what I see. Um, and I saw some pictures of him with NA's daughter, and he's really, really calm and engaged with children. And when he would talk about, he's like, well, you better not lock them up, whatever. And she's like, well, I have the key. You know that he was really good at not getting her fired up, but in the same right, he was saying, don't do that to my little princesses, okay? He saw what she was doing and he knew it was neurotic. So they probably were just happy to have the girls there and let her go and do her weird ass shit, trying to go and make the other one submit. And so now I've said this, there's the narcissist gene in my family, and my evil grandma is one, and one of my sisters is the only sister who's still alive, and I don't talk to her because she's oh my God, she has these black eyes like a squirrel, moves like a squirrel, and she's narcissistic as fuck. And she was one of the first women to get fired for sexual harassment. I mean, I think that, that's a landmark thing. Because, like, if a guy says, like, 2 words to her, then she stalks them. And she could get away with it when she was young. But she stalks them. She stalks the fuck out of them, right? And, like, she has burned out engines in cars because, like, when she's on her stalking missions, you just pedal to the metal. And, like, the whole engine and the whole car will just, like, spontaneously implode because she's like, I need to go. Ah. And generally, she would always go for married men. And she would go and sing some songs, like, a cappella. She'd go and, like, this one last one she was telling me, she was, like, singing the Wham! Father Figure. And she was like, I can't believe him. I saw that his curtains were open, so he was home. And I went in his yard and I started singing Father Figure by George Michael. And he closed the curtains. Oh, shit, man. And then, like, she's, like, crawled on their decks. Like, not crawled on their dicks. She's trying to crawl on their dicks. But, well, yeah, because this one time she was at work. And she wore lingerie underneath her sweatpants. Unbeknownst to anybody. And she went into the coworker's office and took off her sweats and stood there in her lingerie. And the man said, no, thank you. Please get out. And then she's crawled up on decks, like when, you have like a second, like outside, apartment. She, I don't know how she did it. I don't know if some of these narcissists that can zoom around and fly and stuff. She got up like on a second floor balcony and was like standing there with the lingerie, like staring in at him from the slider door. I mean, I'm not saying I totally avoided the crazy gene. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. And I don't stalk people. It's like if you, want to be with me, then fine. I've never taken any phone numbers or anything. If somebody wants to figure out how to call me, they can figure out how to call me. I don't need anybody's phone number. But God, I mean, just go around and stalk. And I can just see the shenanigans doing the same thing. She probably was like, fuck them kids, and left them at the parents. And then she was probably tearing all over town, chasing the other one and doing anything. And then he was just like, do you want me to tell my wife on you? And she's probably like, well, if you're not going to take responsibility for this baby, I'm going to get an abortion. And he's probably like, okay. And she's like, I guess I'm going to have to go and make Chris forgive me. And then it goes back to him and then gives him a book on how to accept her apology. Not that she could be a normal person and be forthcoming and say, hey, I really fucked up. I haven't been making the house payment. We're going to go into foreclosure. Yes, we claimed bankruptcy a couple of years ago. We're just in as much debt. So I think that we should look at camping permanently. Do you have enough money to buy a tent? And then we'll just live in a tent and we'll just tell everybody that we're camping. Because that would be the ideal thing. And then she'd be like, but it has to have it like a tent that has like an area where I can lock the girls up. Because I can't be having them in the same part of the tent with me. I mean, what was she going to do? What's she going to do? Anywho, here we are, folks. We're back in the Controlling People book, How to Recognize, Understand, and Deal with People Who Try to Control You by Patricia Evans, the best-selling author of The Verbally Abusive Relationship. That one's a good one too, folks. And we have actually made it to chapter 3, and it is called Intentions. Excuse me. Can you tell my allergies are acting up? I sound like I'm all nasally. I'm sorry. So wildfires, they get to me. So anyway, despite their good intentions, it turned out wrong. See, like my sister going and singing father figure on the lawn at the poor man and scaling the patios and the decks and looking at them and wearing those were good intentions. I think she threw a thing of mustard at a neighbor too. Yeah. And you know what she does? She set 2 apartments on fire because one time she tried to do a crock pot. She tried to like warm up a can of corn with a crock pot. And she thought that you plug in the crock pot and then you put it on the oven and you turn the burner on. Well, what do you think happened there? And then she puts her cigarette butts in the garbage disposal and gets mad because they come all back up. And, and maintenance yells at her and she's like, it's not my fault that your garbage disposal doesn't work right. It's like, don't do that. And then, do you know how many vacuums she's messed up? Because she will not have a cat box for whatever cat of the month she has. She just has a cat shit all over the floor. And then she vacuums it up when a man's coming over. And because she kept, asking me if I had old vacuums. Like, can I have your old vacuum? I'm like, how many do you need? She's like, well, they don't last very long. I'm like, well, what are you doing to it? Well, what do you think? Like, vacuuming. And then, it somehow came out that, she's vacuuming up the cat shit. Oh, man. And then, God, what's another weird story? Oh, yeah. Another thing I was to tell you, these SW types, they fake pregnancies. And I know several of them who have done this. And she is one of them. And so she was like saying the same kind of thing. She was like, you know what? In between smoking. If he's not going to like do this, if he's not going to do this, then I'm not going to have this baby. And I'm like, okay, you need to stop smoking, number one. She's like, why would I need to stop smoking? I'm like, okay, you cannot smoke if you're pregnant. It's not like the baby can tell that I'm smoking. I'm like, okay, you can't. She's like, I'm going to smoke all I want, all right? And then, like, it was just stupid, right? And she was like, well, I'm not pregnant anymore. And I was like, oh, what happened? I just peed it out. I'm like, what? I peed it out. I'm like, it's not the same hole. She's like, why don't you shut up? You don't know anything. I told you. I'm not pregnant anymore. I peed it out. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I broke up with so-so. So because they broke up, then she wasn't pretend pregnant anymore. And she said she peed it out. And here I am. Yes, I birthed 6 kids, and but I wouldn't know that you don't pee out a baby. This is my life. This is why I went to school for psychology, because I was trying to figure out the explanations for the weird asses in my family. I'm telling you, there's not a non-crazy branch in my family, and I was the outsider because I can see that they're all crazy. So if they had not have seen this fetus with her body, I would have questioned if she was actually pregnant. Like I say, I don't see how she was saying, I guess you have a 50-50 chance if you say it's a girl or boy, because she was trying to manipulate the fuck out of him by saying it was the boy that he always wanted, right? You know? What if the fetus was a girl? What if that's out there? What if that's the truth? What if that's one of the things no one wants us to know? Because then it would have shown all of the lies. Because how would she have known if it was a boy? She couldn't have known it was a boy. She had not had prenatal care, did not have an ultrasound. Canceled the ultrasound because Christopher was malfunctioning. She might have put a third sticker on the boy. Well, anyway, here we are. Intentions. Okay, so as we have seen, acts against others take place in the context of backwardness. I believe that most people who act in oppressive ways, consciously or unconsciously, attempting to control others or trying to meet a particular need that overrides their good intentions. Misdirected, they have sought to meet this need in extraordinarily destructive ways, even while unaware of the need itself. Ultimately, destructive behaviors never succeed in fulfilling the need. As a result, we are witness to cycles of destruction. Like I've mentioned, cycles of destruction. That's huge. Since most people intend to do right by others and want to be treated the same way, why, in certain cases, do their good intentions and all of their efforts to realize them come to naught? There's an old tale called The Miller's Daughter. The miller gives away part of his property and all that's on it to bargain with the devil. He gives away the property in exchange for riches, thinking that only an apple tree is lost. But what the miller thinks isn't enough. He loses his daughter to the devil because she is there with the apple tree. He learns too late the sad news from his wife. The miller and his wife suffer tremendously from such a great loss. And the daughter, too, suffers severely, going through many trials before escaping from the devil to go on with her life. That's kind of like Persephone, huh? It's interesting to see the way that these old fables actually go back to other things, right? Because Persephone was taken from her parents' field with the flowers, right? To the underworld. And then they had to compromise that she couldn't come up for the summers, right? So bring us flowers. Yeah, interesting, huh? Side note. What the miller knew or thought he knew was not enough. His good intentions to gain wealth were not enough. He did not know there was something he did not know, that before he actually lost his daughter to the devil, he had lost her in another way. He had lost her, if he ever had it, his ability to relate to her. If he truly related to his wife and daughter as real people with real lives of their own, he would have at least talked to them about giving away the field before he did it. He would have realized that since they were living on the property, it was their backyard too, and he would have never struck the ill-fated bargain. Or his daughter would have known the plan and would have stayed off the back property. If only he'd asked. Instead, the miller acted for everyone. Even with good intentions, everyone suffers if the ability to relate is lost. How could the miller have lost his ability to relate? Could the ancient tale still be relevant? Do people even now speak and act for others? We're going now. You're not wearing that. That's not what you want. You knew. Just as I was writing about the miller, I had a miller experience myself. A kindly man arrived to repair some electronic equipment. I told him, I'll be working in my office. If you have any questions, please ask. He was unable to hear that I was working and didn't ask about interrupting my work. Unconscious control shows up in this way. Here's what happened. Working on this manuscript, I was in the process of moving text back with my computer software when my computer screen went blank. Everything was gone. Not even a bomb or a sad face appeared. That's the way old computers were. This book's a little old. In the deadly silence, I rushed out to see what had happened. My first thought was, did he electrocute himself? He was fine. He was working. He'd shut off the electricity to the whole building. If only he'd asked. But like the miller, he acted without regard to me, as if he didn't know I was there. He had been beside himself, somewhere else, when I told him I was working. Would he have heard me if I was someone else? A general? A Supreme Court judge? I told the electrician about the miller, and he most graciously accepted the story. I've learned an important lesson here today. I won't forget it. I didn't intend to spoil your book. Unlike the man who destroyed his wife's book, tearing it into pieces, the electrician apologized and determined to change. He had no intention of interrupting my work. He just hadn't really seen me. People who do not really see or hear others, even when intending to help them, may do just the opposite. An intention is like the rudder on a ship. It sets our course, guides us towards our objectives, describes our purpose. But even with the best of intentions, some people fail. And even if they realize that they're off course, and so affirm their good intentions, something happens, and they get the opposite of what they wanted. Why? If their intentions are the best, what goes wrong? Isn't it a good intention, like the rudder on a ship, ever-present guide? If it is, then how do things go wrong? What can it be like for people who find that they've failed to bring their intentions to fruition? Like, for instance, the man who couldn't seem to follow through on his intention to take it home to his family. Or even the miller. In order to see the dilemma some people are in, let us imagine the following episode. We're each on a ship, and the current has carried us along for a very long time. It's always done so. And so we assume it will always take us where we need to go. But we're beginning to feel a bit uneasy. We sense that something is wrong just under the surface. Our ship has gone off course. Our world is not as safe and as sane as we'd like it to be. Our intention in the course we have come to expect does not hold. We've come under the influence of a new current. Some of us become aware of it and make the necessary adjustments. In a sense, we reset our rudder. But others, not realizing that they're off course, have compounded their error by holding firm and reaffirming their intention, only to get where they don't want to go more quickly. These people don't notice that they're not moving more and more gradually off course. They don't notice until they see that the scenery is quite different from what they had expected. And even then, when they do notice that something's wrong, they don't know why or what. No matter how firmly they have relied upon the rudder of good intentions, their good intentions are not manifested because something else, quite unknown to them, has come into play, and because it is a deep, strong, and hidden current, it's a very compelling force. This is an interesting thing because it's talking about intentions. You have to really think, what was her intention? What was SW's intention of locking up the girls? What was her intention in doing so? Well, like she said it made her a better mom. It gave her time to put on her makeup. It gave her time to work, which was the MLM bullshit. And she said it gave her time to drink wine. We saw that when she said 6:35 in the evening and the girls are in bed winning. Who's winning? This one. Where's the wine? She said it gave her her time to be with her husband. In the beginning, she did. that they could have their time. Well, when she was doing that, did she consider the girls? Did she consider what was happening on the other side of that door? Those girls were so trained, they didn't kick and scream at the door and beg to come out. They accepted it. They knew that was what was going to happen. They knew that no matter how hard they cried, screamed, whatever, she wasn't going to unlock the door. How many times did it take them to find that out? Intentions with a narcissist are really, really contradictory, because what are they intending to do? They're intending on getting their own way, and they don't care who they stomp on to get there. Are you all surprised when you start to see this and really start to think about how these things don't make sense? How was it all over the headlines that she was expecting a baby boy? Nobody knows if it was a boy or not. Who has that DNA? Who has the report of the DNA? Only the father would have it. Now, father, if she's married, conceive the baby in the marriage. By law, CW is the father. But if they did the paternity test and it wasn't him, would it go to the other person? Did this happen? Did they go and take buccal swabs from both buccal inside the cheek? Did they go and take samples from each of them? Is there so much more that we don't know? Did this come out somewhere? Did he know? Did he know that she was sleeping around, and that's why he decided to go ahead and take that step? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What I don't understand is, how did he not think that she was going to notice the missing condoms? Because NK was saying that she looked at the date on them and all this stuff. And it's like, he didn't go and buy new condoms. He went and took the ones that she had bought and had in the closet. I mean, maybe they weren't using them because she was pregnant, but come on. She's going to look at them and be like, what are you using them for? So you don't make your sock dirty? I mean, how is he going to explain that? When he gave her full control of the money of the family, could he have ever known how irresponsible she'd be with it? How could you get away with... I don't understand all the levels of deceit and dishonesty. How could she even look? That's why she didn't look. That's why she had her nose in the phone all the time, because she was not ever truly engaged and not ever truly intimate and vulnerable with that man. The camera was there. Somebody else was on the phone. She had somebody else with her at all times in her mind against him. The two of them against the world didn't last long. Oh, so many things, so many things. Keep writing me those comments. I will get back to you when I can, but let me know. let me let you know I am seeing them, and I am so impressed, and that you guys inspire me to do more and to look more into other things and get more ideas, and really just take this journey together, so that then we'll all be on the same page and say, hey, look, this is how the abuse goes. This is how it slowly erodes a person's identity. This is how a person who thought that they knew who they were no longer knows who they are. Psychological abuse is very, very slow moving, very slow. Look at J.C. Lee Dugard. Remember? She's the one who was abducted when was she 14 or was she 12? I don't remember right now. But was it in Reno, Tahoe, somewhere, California? She was was she going to the bus, or was she riding her bike? But the asshole abducted her, kept her in isolation. He was married. And he goes and kidnaps a girl. And then he starts having children with her. And it got to the point where they would go out places as a family. She wouldn't tell people, hey, please call the police. Even when they went on that college campus, because the idiot who abducted her was going to start giving lectures on all that he had figured out about the world and whatnot. And he went on the college campus, to go and sign up to give some lectures. And he had JC and their 2 daughters. And because that one security guard had that hunch that something isn't right, she asked him. And at first, they didn't even tell her. But because that woman had the hunch that something isn't right, she freed JC and those beautiful daughters of hers. He had her so controlled. She didn't run when she could have. And that's CW. He was so controlled by her in the way that she was treating him so horribly. He didn't stand up and buck up and say, I want a divorce. He said that he loved her so much, and he kept trying to make it work. He tried and tried. He was the one trying to make this work. He did not go for the first piece of ass that went past him. He tried to make it work. But before that, he was totally her victim. Until the very end. Look he didn't even know how to get into the phone. He didn't know how to get into their bank account. He had no idea all the MLM she was actually even selling. He had no idea that she wasn't reselling what she was buying. None of it. She had him that controlled that he didn't even ask. He didn't even feel comfortable to ask. And she'd give him a little bit of money, I suppose, maybe he'd get like a $10 allowance or something. But he knew better than to ask. And he never looked. He never questioned her. She had him so controlled that he could not be like a normal person in a relationship with another person and talking and planning and looking at the account. And it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Well, on that note, here we go with a big 3-day weekend. Last one of the summer. Last of the summer, pretty much. I just hope it's not so godforsaken, huh? I'm sick of it. I want it to be cool. And I want to decorate for Halloween. I'm tired of the summer. I really like the fall the best. I love fall leaves. Do you guys like fall leaves? Have you guys had your first pumpkin spice latte? I usually always get a caramel frappuccino, caramel ribbon, but I had a pumpkin frappuccino with caramel drizzle in it. It was really good that way. I broke down and had one. I wasn't going to, but I did. So happy September, everybody. Enjoy this weekend. Be safe. Have fun with your family. Cherish them. It goes by so fast. And like I say, my tips are, take the kids to the park. And my other tip is go to garage sales. Because, honestly, the kids grow out of their clothes so fast. I got everything from garage sales and Goodwill. You're not going to go to this and it's going to be everything. You just need to, go when you can and save yourself the money. I mean, my thing was is that I'd be like to my husband, I'd be like, okay, you make the money and I'll make the money go far. And I did. And then, like I say, I resold all the baby equipment that I'd gotten, that I had fixed up and everything. And, marriage really is having two people be actively parenting and actively engaged with each other. It's not having all these outside forces so that you can go and talk about your spouse to somebody else. Don't talk about your spouse. Talk to your spouse. Be an active parent. It goes by so fast. But have a good 3-day weekend. Once again, thank you all for being so very kind to me. I'm just so humbled by your kindness. And thank you all for giving me your time. I really appreciate it. And with that, I'll end. Thank you. Bye-bye.